Yeah.
I mean, what I'm interested in is kind of in the context of our own country, where cultural activism, at a time when, in the 1980s, when all kind of political power was, expression was suppressed, culture became a means of fierce opposition, with bannings of artists and festivals and musicians. I mean, we talk about soft power, but I mean, I'd be interested to find out maybe just examples. You had an example now about the emails, but really about how culture as a form of activism can change inequity, can change. I'm at the moment kind of interested in terms of, you know, we kind of talk about the softness of culture, but we're at a time in our own country, and, you know, we talk about our continent, change is needed, you know, and cultural activism needs to find a way of being much more in our faces. So I'd love to hear examples from the panel about how in their own countries culture has been used as a real form of change.
No, I just one very small example, not merely in terms of culture for change, but also culture as a means of resistance. In Nepal, again, a country where military has played an important role and was under monarchy for a long time, but even after the Maoists came in, monarchy being removed, it continued to be a very repressive place, still is in many ways, and there was a time when giving out news was banned. Organizations were prohibited from giving news. They were only allowed to provide entertainment. So they did something, and this is something I'd like to remind ourselves. We are cultural people, we are artists, we need to be creative to find those solutions as well. And what the Nepalis did, I think, was brilliant. They sang the news. You want entertainment? We'll give you entertainment. And they found a way, they invented mechanisms, and I think we constantly need to be doing this.
What are we missing? Lexical democracy, vote, what are we missing? But more seriously, for changing, we have to change the citizen, the person. And you cannot change the citizen, it's our problems. And we have the same problems in the South. That's why we have to do research, reflect on it all together, because we are missing something. And what we want to do is by culture, changing the person, the individual, the child for tomorrow. It's about creativity, about state of mind, about the public space, about public debate. And culture can give us, for now, it can give us some solutions. For now, our governments in the global south don't work together for this. We are civil society. We work toward culture for development. We start this movement. We have a dream. Maybe our government, with a little bit of advocacy, of research, of what I don't know. We have a dream.
Does art, make change? That's what you're asking. Give us an example of that. Actually, if you look at the reverse logic, if art was not provoking change, then would it not be have fought against by regimes and so on? If you take a look at the Arab world, and you look at the number of artists that are jailed, imprisoned, or killed, that gives you an idea about how threatening those artists are to the existing regimes there. I can give you the names of caricaturists, filmmakers that are imprisoned and disappearing and so on. That just gives you a testimony, actually, the strength that are evolving today. We are, artists are fighting against strong powers and so on, but they are doing their part. So that I'm just using the reverse logic for that.
For me personally, what I can see, like as you were saying about Tahrir Square and about how it was. In fact, if this revolution was not having all of this creativity taking place in the streets, and people were just putting their artistic pieces and cultural practice into the street, nobody will hear about it. It will be just killing and fighting, and nobody will know. And I think that's the only thing which benefits our revolution in Egypt, how much artist was involved in the streets, how an artistic organization moved its equipment into the square, how another artistic organization, cultural organization, opened its venues just for people to get meeting. In another moment, everything, not accepting anybody, everything is closed. And I think that the role which is played by art and culture is bigger than even what we expect from it. That's all.
I just wanted to share the experience of the city of Medellin in Colombia. During the 90s, there was this cartel guy, Pablo Escobar, and there was such a violence in the city and in the region that the rates of deaf people was really terrific. And so there was this group, a grassroots cultural group, that started parading with kids and young people, as though they were all dressed up and they had drums and they music and whatever, and they had to tell the groups that they were going out. And so they had military men here with their arms and the cartel people here on the other side, and they were parading along the streets with the kids. And they started using the public space with art. And so there was, after that, this government that came. They came from the university field. They were not politicians, but they took office and they started to take cultural center. Medellin is like long, and you have the hills here and on the other side. So the townships, you call them, on both sides, right? So they started building cultural centers on the worst places, and they started building mobility, cable cars to bring the people downtown, to facilitate their moving throughout the city to go to get their jobs and everything. So the city of Medellin was transformed. Violence disappeared. Of course, they also killed Pablo Escobar later on, yes, but they started in that way. So it produced. Today, Medellin is one of the best innovative city in the world.